You know that feeling when you start manifesting something new, you're so excited, you're so high on possibility, and then a few weeks go by and the magic somehow feels gone. Suddenly you're doubting, suddenly you're questioning everything, suddenly you're wondering if this even works. Well, that, my friend, is the dip. And if you don't understand the dip, it has the possibility to sabotage everything before anything actually gets to happen. So today I'm actually breaking down why the dip actually happens, what it means in your manifestation process, and how to handle it like an absolute trusting pro. And stick with me on this, because what I'm about to share is going to completely change the way that you view this stage of the process. Because most people get to this point and hit the dip and they think, well, something's going wrong. I'm doing something wrong. My manifestation isn't working any longer. But in reality, that dip is proof that things are shifting. It's part of the rewiring process. It's part of the identity shifting. It's part of the quantum unfolding. And once you really understand that, you're never going to look at this stage the same way ever again. So let's get into what the dip actually is. Most people know exactly what I'm on about, but if you're sat there confused like, I cannot relate with what this girl's talking about, then listen up, because you've absolutely hit this once, twice, a million times in your manifestation process. So the best way I could actually describe the dip is it's the low that comes after the high of starting something new. When you start manifesting something new, whether it's love, whether it's money, whether it's a whole new identity, you're on fire, you feel inspired, you're taking aligned action, everything feels like a possibility. But then as time goes on and you keep doing the same methods over and over, that excitement starts to shift. You know, maybe some results have shown up already, but majority of the results are not here yet. Or they came briefly, but that high went back down quite fast. Basically, even though you're doing all the work and you're riding the high and you're feeling like things are moving, reality realistically still looks the same. And so you start asking yourself, well, have I done something wrong? Did I mess this up somehow? And normally this is the point where someone will go on to quit. They give up doing their methods. They give up doing the everyday routine that had them in that great high to begin with. And I get it, but the thing is, the dip is not a sign of failure. It's a perfectly natural part of change. Because think about it, your nervous system is recalibrated. Your brain is questioning all the unfamiliar. I mean, you're literally stepping out of the old identity and your ego hates it. So it's gonna pull you back with the doubts, with the fears, with the whispers of, see, nothing's happening. That is the dip. But why does the dip happen? This is where it gets juicy. This is where I want to talk about science and energy combined. And I've broken this up into 3 major things that you need to know. Number 1, the novelty effect has worn off. Your brain loves novelty. It literally releases dopamine when something feels new and exciting. That's why when you first decide to manifest something, it feels so expansive. But then your brain adapts and your dopamine drops. Suddenly you feel flat and you're asking yourself, well, is this even really working? Something feels wrong, but nothing is wrong. You're just losing the high of the novelty effect wearing off. The second point I want to make is the identity shift resistance. Because manifestation really is identity work. And if you're shifting from I'm broke to I'm wealthy, I'm single to I'm so loved, your subconscious is going to fight back and try and pull you back to safety. It's basically like an old operating system that's saying, hang on, wait a minute, that's not who we are. So it throws fears, it throws doubts, it throws procrastination, anything to get you back to the familiar. And then the third step I want to talk about is energy recalibration. Because energetically, when you set out a new intention, you also send out a different frequency. And then things rearrange behind the scenes. But here's the catch. The 3D reality will always take time to catch up. And that gap, that lag, that is exactly where the dip lies. It's where your old identity feels louder because the new identity, the new reality hasn't been able to set in yet. You know how people say it gets the darkest before dawn? Well, the darkness here is the old identity, the old reality dissolving. It is the breakdown of the old timeline. Now, how do we handle the dip like a trusting pro? Because that is everything in this process for you to get through this stage to get everything that you're asking for. Now, naturally, where most people go on to mess up in this stage is they panic. They notice the dip and they start affirming harder, or they start doubting harder and start trying to force the results. But here's what a master manifester does. Number one, normalize the dip. The dip is universal. It happens in business, it happens in fitness, it happens in relationships. Anything worth having, it happens in. So in these moments, I need you to tell yourself that this is part of the process, that this is your brain and your body rewiring. Because when you understand that doubt is not a sign of failure, it loses all its power. And then the next thing I would say is anchor into identity, not results. If you're manifesting wealth, stop obsessing over money showing up today. Instead, I need you to ask yourself, what would the wealthiest version of me act like today? Because just that question alone allows you to stay in alignment without you needing the physical evidence. To stay in this frequency without the results even have landed into your reality yet. And I know that's one of the hardest things to maintain. But right now, that is your job. Now, coming off of that, number three, I would say stay in the energy, not the evidence. Because I'm not going to lie to you, this is going to be where you get tested. The dip is asking you, can you hold this frequency? Can you hold it even though no physical proof has landed into your reality yet? And this is the point where people are collapsing timelines. When you trust more in the unseen, reality bends. And then number four, I would say make it playful, not pressurized. Bring fun back to the process, switch up your methods. If you've been visualizing every day for a month and you're just getting tired of the same old process and it feels like a chore, try scripting instead, because your nervous system is never going to thrive under pressure. And if you're treating this manifestation thing like life or death, then you're going to choke the energy. So dance, journal, live your life. Stop putting your life on hold for waiting and staring at the seed to grow. Here's the thing, the dip is not your enemy. It's evidence that things are absolutely shifting for you. It's the space between planting the seed and seeing the sprout. And I'm going to be honest, most people don't actually make it past this point. They give up on day 89 of a 90-day miracle. But not you. You're here to hold the vision even when that dip whisperer lies. And listen, if you can master this stage of the process, everything that you have asked for has no other choice but to show up. Now, if this landed with you, let me know if you are in the dip right now. I know I have just went through a phase of something particular I manifested, and I just went through the dip. That's why I'm doing this video today, because I could have used this way back when I first started experiencing this. And if you are in the dip, what's one shift that you're going to take from this video? Now, if you like this content, if you're into the science behind manifestation and the change in your life and the self-help, self-growth journey, then please subscribe, give it a like, leave a comment, and let's become friends. And as always, I will see you soon.